Hello, everyone, and welcome to Armstrong in the Loop podcast. I'm your host, Seth Prentice, and today I'm joined by Jordan Grady, Butler County Chamber of Commerce Executive Director. Jordan, welcome back to the show.
Hey Seth, thanks for having me. Happy New Year. Glad to be back.
I'm calling this the best year ever, so happy New Year, and hopefully 2021 is going to be quite the year, as 2020 was a sure dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, the Butler Chamber was firing on all cylinders to start 2020, and then a pandemic decided to wipe out whatever plans you had for the year. What were those months like for you, and what changes did you have to make to prepare the chamber for where you are now?
Well, 2020 definitely did start off firing on all cylinders, as you said. I actually was referencing some of our notes from January of 2020 and February of 2020. In January of 2020, we hosted the Intersection of Progress event that updated community and business leaders of the developments along the 228 Route 19 corridor in Cranberry. It was a very large event, and it symbolized a big step in one of my goals when I was hired, which is to kind of connect the center and the northern tier of the county to the southern part. And that was a big step in the right direction. And we followed it up. I actually pulled the article today. We followed it up on February 19th. We had a Butler County Growth Collaborative Community Leaders Breakfast. And there was 250 people at this event. We brought in a special guest speaker from Harrisburg to speak. There was elected officials, college presidents, executives. And then fast forward, just 3 short weeks and boom, COVID's hit. We had a confirmed case here in Butler County. And then obviously, we're still here today with a tiny light at the end of the tunnel. But as we transitioned into March of 2020, pandemic hits, first wave, we get the first shutdown. Obviously, we're a social organization. Got back into the office late March, early April, took a look at the current financials for the chamber at the time, and they were very strong. I always try to get ahead on things. The writing was on the wall. When you look at where the coronavirus hit first, which was China, and you saw they had a 4 or 5 month, struggle to get the virus under control. We knew that it wasn't going to be, the 3 weeks to flatten the curve. We knew that this was going to be a long-term thing and that we had to figure something out. So, I worked really closely with my executive committee and my board of directors, and we knew we had to make major personnel and occupancy changes in order to kind of survive this blow. And we did that. We took a look at all the events. Chamber of Commerce, we're normally built on large events, in-person events. We looked at the ones that we could take digital or move outside, and we did that. We looked at the ones that we didn't see a good fit in the digital world, could move it outside for whatever reason. So we canceled or postponed them into 2021. And then from there, I had to get on the phones and utilize some of the relationships that have been established for a long time with the chamber and some of the corporate supporters of the chamber, and work out a deal for the sponsorship dollars. Can we transfer it to another event? Can we move it to next year's event? And all of our backers, our supporters, they're great to work with, and all of them were more than willing to work with me on a plan to make sure that their sponsorship dollars were allocated correctly. And then we started creeping on as the year 2020 went, and it's crazy how we ended up here. I just keep thinking back. We had a legislative breakfast that we were able to move digital. We normally have 2 golf outings. I was able to combine it into one, and we had a sold out golf outing at Lake Arthur. I leaned on my board and some of my professional colleagues like yourself for guidance to help kind of get us through. And now we're sitting here at the beginning of 2021, and we are again and we never really weren't, but we are strong once again, and we're moving forward. And we've moved in with the Community Development Corporation. That was one of the partnerships that we had to form in 2020. This partnership used to exist years and years ago before the chamber decided to move to their own spot. So what we've done now is we're working more closely together on economic development related projects. And we've become, a much stronger force for advocacy for business now for all of our members that we represent here in Butler County.
That's fantastic. And I think a new slogan for 2021 could be onward and upward. I know Coach Tomlin likes to use that a lot in his press conferences, and I think it's fitting for exactly what you're saying of where we are, and the only way to go now is to move forward and to move up. How has that partnership, with the CDC and being in this new office? I mean, do you feel that that's only going to strengthen what the chamber can do as you move forward?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a larger chamber. We have close to 800 members, and the CDC has, a couple hundred members as well. And there's some overlap, but there's also some members that I may represent that they don't, and vice versa. So we have a pretty good, market share on the businesses here in Butler County that pay dues into organizations for us to represent them, both here at the local level, at the state level, and the federal level. We're sharing administrative costs, things like that. Where it makes sense to work together, we're doing that. And it was definitely the right move, and I'm glad that we're in here. And the executive director here at the CDC and we work really good with each other. He's X's and O's, and I'm more of the PR and things like that. So we make a good team, and we have just a great administrative staff. We have a fantastic fiscal bookkeeper. She's very, very good at what she does. And we have a communication specialist that handles, articles, emails, business updates on grants, updates on stimuluses, things like that. And together we have a great team, and, we're definitely hoping 2021 will show that partnership is working.
Well, speaking of partnerships, early on in the pandemic, I don't know how many people are aware of this, but a lot of organizations in the Butler County region came together to form a collaboration uh, back March, April timeframe. How has that helped the county with small business and resources that people are needing?
Yeah. So when you talk about economic recovery, you always have to look at it from a regional approach. And obviously we're the southwestern region of Pennsylvania. So in March, we've always had the Butler County Growth Collaborative. Well, not always. Last probably 2.5, 3 years, we've had the Butler County Growth Collaborative. And there's representatives from a lot of the business leaders here in Butler County that were on that committee. So we took that approach and we applied it to a regional regional idea. So we're working with representatives from Visit Beaver County and Beaver County Chamber. We're working with the Elwood City Chamber, Lawrence County Chamber, working with Pittsburgh North Regional Chamber, North Shore Chamber. A couple conversations with the Washington Chamber and Tourism Bureau, Peters Township, another good partner in the organization. So because we have to move together, as opposed to Butler County's walking right and Allegheny's walking left. We both got to keep going. We got to keep going in the same direction together. So that ended up being really beneficial. And we put together a couple things that were really, really nice. And one of the things that is still going on today, and the folks at the Beaver County Chamber have kind of took the lead on this, is we had the virtual job fair. And the very first one we did, and this is a enlightening fact of just how serious the pandemic was. Now this is June, early June, when they had the first one. And there was over 1,000 people who came in throughout the day to see the virtual booths. So we had uh, over 250 vendors at the first one, people who had jobs to hire,
Wow.
and over 1,000 people who attended that very first one. And then from there, I had to look at, my time and where it was better spent. So this was an easy project to hand off to Beaver, and they've done a fantastic job. They involve our members. They always give them opportunity to be a part of it. They don't charge for the boost for the employers. Obviously, it's free for the employees. So really, Beaver stepped up and did that. And I think that, we've always worked with several chambers here locally, and I think that this will strengthen that. And as we transition back to social interaction, I think the partnerships formed during those early months, March, April, May, and even June, I think you'll see it pay dividends as we get back to face-to-face and things like that.
Were there things that, of course, all these groups are getting together that you found, maybe you guys were doing this better and they were doing this better, but maybe new things have been born out of it that are here to stay?
Yeah, I do. I think that now when you look at our area of coverage, we go as north as Slippery Rock, I guess is east as Bruin, obviously as south as Cranberry. I'm trying to think what would be west. Maybe that's Bruin. I got my directions backwards, but we try to cover the whole county of Butler. And there are overlapping areas. For example, in the north, we overlap with the Grove City Chamber of Commerce. I have a pretty good relationship with Beth Black, who's the director there. We've always worked together on some events, and we're going to continue that and maybe look to add a couple things here or there. And, same thing with Beaver. We always did, and Elwood and Lawrence for that matter. We always did a couple things together. And, now it seems, Beaver's doing a couple things, and they've called and asked if it would be something that I would like to partner in. And I always, when I'm talking to Helen there, she does such a good job. But if it's an event that is going to bring benefits to my members, and all you're asking of me is to send out an email and allow you to use the logo, that's a no-brainer for me, especially now. So those things have been great. I think, there's a big overlap between us and Pittsburgh North. We both have a lot of members in the Cranberry and Zelienople area. So there's always been a pretty good relationship there, and I think that has grown stronger, and I do look forward to pulling off a couple joint things with them. I do think that makes sense for the southern part of the county. So I think there are things that, or at least relationships that started as a result of these groups being organized, that will at least be strong. And if the opportunity arises to do something jointly in the future, it'll be there because of the relationships formed in March and April.
Well, another thing that I want to bring up before we move on from 2020 is your experience with something that happened recently. You had an opportunity to deliver checks to small business and restaurants in the county at the end of the year. What was that experience like, and any stories that you can share from that?
Yeah, that was a very eye-opening experience. So the county allotted some of their CARES, a good chunk of their CARES money, and made it available in forms of grants for COVID-related expenditures for both businesses and nonprofits. And through the partnership and the relationships between the Chamber and the Community Development Corporation and the County of Butler, we were allowed to grab some of the stimulus checks and hand deliver them. I took every single one of my members' checks, and then also I grabbed all the restaurants. And it was the day after they got the news that they were going to be shut down for 3 weeks. So that's why I, grabbed the restaurants. I wanted to make sure they got that in their hands. And I could go through example by example. I had, put it like this, I haven't hugged that many people in the COVID world, maybe ever. And of course we did it the right way. We wore a mask, but it was really nice to be the voice that maybe some of them needed, and vice versa. I needed to I needed to meet them and hear them out too. Um, it was such a wonderful thing the county did by designating those grants. And for a lot of people who probably received those stimulus checks or grant checks, that was absolutely the difference between make or break.
Mm.
Um, and that just, that's credit to the group of commissioners in Butler County. They've always had very pro business policies. Thus, that's why you see the Growth Collaborative Forum. That's why you see the Community Development Corporation flourishing. And that's why you see a strong chamber. That's credit to them and the support that they pour into us and the trust that they put into us to get things done. And it's a great working relationship. And, some of those places I was visiting, those people I probably never would have met otherwise. And now those relationships, they're really priceless. I got to meet so many restaurateurs here in Butler County that I knew there was a restaurant, but I never knew the face behind the name. So now when I'm going out to eat and I'm choosing here locally, it means a lot more for me. And, I obviously I'm the director of the chamber. So a lot of people probably take, my recommendations maybe a little more seriously than others from the general public. So now I can recommend, restaurant ABC, and I can say, Mr. John Doe is awesome, and he does this, and this for the community, and they have great pizza, or their pastas are amazing. So it allowed me to establish some of those relationships and really learn more about some of the businesses that I was unaware of recently. So it was a learning and growing experience for me, and it was very emotional, and it was tough. It was arguably the toughest 2-3 day stretch I've had in my young professional career. So I was glad I could play just a little part in bringing some happiness and joy in the middle of not obviously, but arguably the worst that the pandemic's ever been. So it was truly eye-opening, and I really do appreciate I got that opportunity.
Is there any common theme or question that a lot of those owners asked you when stopping by that seemed to add up? It was pretty common for you to hear.
Really, just being super appreciative of the grants that were made available by the county. A lot of my members were very appreciative of the communications they received once they became available. And, this should come as no surprise to anyone, but resiliency is a big characteristic of a lot of business owners here in the county. That bend but never break mentality, and, getting through this and fighting through this, and each day that light, we keep seeing it at the tunnel, and eventually that tunnel is going to be wide open. They're going to be walking out of it. So there's just so many great people that decide to have their business here, work here, live here, play here. It's truly just awesome to be a part of it all.
I actually heard a story on the radio right before the holidays of a restaurant in Saxonburg. She was actually, helping to feed, the first responders, or if, someone needed a meal, call in, she'll have a meal for you. And the local radio station in Pittsburgh said, I want to do that for my restaurant. And I think, a couple business owners called in, and they started paying for meals for people in need. And, that's the type of thing you love to see in the communities, of people taking care of our own.
Oh, definitely. It's the old coffee shop, saying the pay it forward. You see someone behind you in the line at the coffee shop, you're to cover their drink here and there. And then in turn, that person goes out and does a favor for someone, and it's a domino effect. So it's truly is amazing what our region and our county have accomplished, and they continue to accomplish, giving everything we're dealing with right now.
Well, let's look forward here to 2021. What's on the agenda for the year?
So in years past, we were always predicated on having 10, 20, 30 large events. And we do feel as if we'll get back to some bigger events. So we're evaluating kind of which events we want to keep, which events we want to add, which events we want to just get rid of, to free up more time. So we are going to do a couple, mainstay events that we always do. We always do the Employee Appreciation Luncheon, which will be April 14th this year, tentatively, at the atrium, where we give out the Employee of the Year award. A new event we're adding, and we do believe this will be a 1-year thing. We're doing an HR and legal impacts of COVID in the workplace at the Butler Country Club on April 27th. I put the panel together already for that. I've got Tom Breth, who's a partner at Bill and McCandless, King, Coulter, and Graham Law. Jeff Howard, who's the president of CW Howard Insurance Agency. He deals a lot with the business side of insurances, which is very prevalent when you're factoring in COVID to some of the policies. Lisa Gard, who owns Specialized Staffing, she'll give a very unique perspective from the other side of staffing. Teresa Hewitt, who's the Chief Operating Officer of Center for Community Resources, so she heads up the HR department of a very large Butler County employer. And then PA State Rep Marcy Mostello will also be round out the panel to kind of explain some of the legislation that's being proposed or in place to help the businesses with COVID-related issues. So we're looking forward to that one. And again, it's tentative. We hope we're able to have it. We feel as if we might be able to take that one digital. We'll see. We will do the legislative breakfast again on May 14th at the Country Club. That is one that we took digital last year, and we are definitely willing to take digital again. We did it digital last year, and it was the biggest turnout for participating elected officials yet. So that's definitely one we're ready to take on and go digital if we have to. We're planning a drive-through health and wellness fair at BC3. The date is up in the air right now. We were looking at end of May, but the two organizers that are helping me with it have some different thoughts and ideas. So we are trying to nail down a date, but it will be drive-through style, and it will be at BC3's campus, where you can come in one side, drive your car through the vendors, and then out the other. So we looked at, where in the county can we host this, where we can have flow of traffic and not bog stuff up in a drive-through format. So, and then, we'll do the golf outing on June 10th. Location is to be decided. And then we're bringing back something that we haven't done since 2008, which is the dock party featuring live lobster. So Lobster Fest. We're still thinking of the name. So if you're creative, let me know. That'll be at the atrium. It'll be on July 2nd, which is a Friday, and there will be a firework display there. So, fingers crossed we'll be able to celebrate something. And if you're into lobster, that'll be lobster's always good. I like it. Some people don't, but hey. And then we'll bring back the Community Champion Luncheon. It will actually be held at the award winners, which will be Butler County EMS. They're unofficially celebrating their 50-year. I say unofficially because they were celebrating their 50-year last year when they were supposed to receive the award. Obviously, COVID pushed it to this year. So we will do a Community Champion Luncheon. We've done that for over 20 years now. And I can't think of a better recipient than the Butler County EMS. We'll bring the ladies golf outing back on August 16th at the Butler Country Club. We'll do our annual Celebrate Dinner and Leadership Butler County graduation celebration. It'll be probably, we won't be back at Slippery Rock University. I think in future years we will, but we are going to go to Slippery Rock. We're going to go to the Slippery Rock Golf Club and Event Center. For those of you who haven't been there, they made major renovations. They really did a great job with cleaning up the course and redoing the banquet facility. And then on October 26th, we'll do our CEO roundtable discussion. That's at the Regional Learning Alliance panel to be decided. And then also in October, date is date is really unclear right now. This will also be at the RLA. It will be our second annual Women's Shaping Our Region. It was originally scheduled for October of 2020. Obviously, that didn't work. We got it scheduled for March of 2021. We feel as if it's in the best to move that one too, since it typically garnishes large crowds. So we'll be moving that one to October too. And then we'll have our joint annual Christmas party with the CDC at the Atrium on December 3rd. So in years past, if I were to read off some of those events, it would have took me an hour because, we had so many of them. So instead of doing all the events, we're going to let the young professionals handle the after hours. We'll bring in some coffee clubs here and there, probably not every week. But this is going to allow me to spend more time on working some of these regional partnerships, like with the Allegheny Conference, the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance, and building relationships with some of our state and federal and even local elected officials. We decided that instead of having 100 events, that me spending time on building valuable relationships to advocate for the members that we serve will be time well spent. So that's really our focus for 2021. We kept some of the signature events. We kind of, I don't want to call it outsourcing, but we're kind of just trusting the young professionals to kind of do the after hours, and they do a great job. And that's how I kind of got my start here at the chamber. I was the chair of that, and we had to completely rebuild it. And I've since passed it off to Adriana Bly, and, she's taken it to even higher levels than I could have. And same thing with the coffee club. I have 2 board members that, don't require me to do a lot. They kind of plan it and they send me the information. That's Mark Buchek from Northwest and Adriana Bly from the Spring Hill. So, it's going to be a busy year. We are going to have some events, but, strengthening those invaluable partnerships is priority number one. We're committed to improving the quality of life of both business and community here in Butler County. And, we'll continue to do that into the 2021.
Now you got a full slate, and my fingers are crossed that all of those actually can be done in person, if not at least 3/4 of them, as I think you have a great way to quickly switch if those have to be done digitally. You spoke about, some things on the horizon, and, the need for this could still be here. The new stimulus package was recently passed. Is there money locally that businesses can apply for grants? Do you have any update on that at this time?
So there's really not a hard update yet. They're obviously going to replenish the PPP program. I do believe that state governments were included in the last stimulus package. So I would assume that, Butler County will receive some type of allotment from the state of Pennsylvania. I stay on top of that stuff. Next Tier Bank does a great job putting out informative webinars. And what I did back in March and recently, a couple weeks ago, confirmed that it was still the right contact. I've contacted all our member banks and said, who's the business banker that if someone is to call the chamber, you want me to send them to. So I've got that list. So when someone calls and I say, well, who do you bank with? They say Next Tier. Well, I say, well, you need to contact so-and-so at Next Tier. If you're at, Northwest, you need to contact so-and-so at Northwest. So I've stayed on top of that up-to-date list because it's much better. And I have to educate myself so I can talk intelligently on the other end and not sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. So I do understand the program, but just enough to really hand them off to whoever their business banker might be with their bank to help them even more. So again, it's a team effort working with, the business that might be calling to the bank or the banker they need to actually talk to. So, it's definitely just craziness going on in that realm. And if 2021 has taught us, or not 2021, if 2020 has taught us everything, we got to be able to pivot and change. And we're certainly trying to do it on our end. I've decided to invest in alternate forms of media to try to apply to the chamber's marketing strategy. I've learned a video editing software. I've learned the Adobe Suite package. I'm currently just studying for the 107 license for drones. I'm doing everything I can to make sure that if we have to stay digital, or if digital is just the preferred confidence level of members to come out and interact, that we're going to be up to speed with it and ready to go. And here in a couple months, we'll be getting a team of senior communication students from Slippery Rock University to revamp the pages, the Facebook pages, the LinkedIn pages. And when I told them the other day that we had some toys, cameras, and things that they got to play with, you would have thought it was Christmas and they were 5 years old. So we're going to, continue on and do what we do best, which is represent the businesses here in Butler County and be resilient and pivot when we have to pivot and tuck our heads and run straight forward through walls when we have to do that.
Some of those digital services, Jordan, do you think that those can help, especially these small mom and pop businesses that don't have that type of spend, to go out and do that professionally?
Definitely. We are talking internally on ways to incorporate some of these things. But absolutely, I do think it'll help a lot of businesses, and it'll be on me to kind of figure out how to tie them all together and make sure that if we do offer this as a service, how can we either tie it into membership or make the price points, where a member can't get it anywhere else for that rate. So, that's definitely on the horizon, and I definitely plan to get my thinking cap on there and see where it goes.
No, that's great. Anything else you'd like to share with us today?
No, I think that's all. Thank you so much for having me. And, I hope 2021 is the best year ever, like you mentioned earlier. And we just got to keep chugging through. And like I said, if there's a wall or something in the middle of the road, either jump over it, run it over it, whatever you got to do to get around it. And eventually those blocks go away and it's smooth sailing. So looking forward to the journey.
Well, Jordan, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for everything you're doing. And, you're fighting a fight for a lot of people and continue to do so. It's well worth the effort.
Thanks, Seth. I appreciate that.
For Armstrong in the Loop podcast, I'm Seth Prentice, keeping you in the loop. Are you enjoying Armstrong in the Loop podcast? Great news! All past and current episodes are available on popular streaming apps and websites. Search Armstrong in the Loop podcast and subscribe today.